The wrestling tournament had run late, and I was exhausted as I pulled into our driveway Thursday evening. 3 days in Springfield watching teenage athletes pour their hearts out on the mats, and all I wanted was a hot shower and Rachel's smile. I'd been coaching high school wrestling for 12 years, teaching history for 15, and these regional tournaments still drained me like nothing else. I grabbed my duffel bag from the trunk and noticed the mail scattered across our kitchen counter through the window. Rachel must have brought it in but hadn't sorted through it yet. Probably rushing off to her dance club meeting like every second Thursday for the past year and change. The front door stuck slightly. I'd been meaning to plane it down, and I shouldered it open with practiced ease. The house felt empty, which made sense. Rachel's Thursday night dance club had become as regular as my tournament schedule. Funny how our routines had synchronized so perfectly over the past 14 months. I dropped my bag by the stairs and walked to the kitchen, already thinking about leftover pizza and whatever game might be on ESPN. The mail lay in its usual disorganized pile: bills, catalogs, and a cream-colored envelope that caught my attention immediately. The handwriting was Rachel's. I'd recognize her flowing script anywhere. It's what first attracted me to her papers when I was grading them in graduate school, back when she was finishing her master's in education, and I was the teaching assistant trying not to notice how beautiful she was. But this wasn't addressed to me. "My dearest Michael," the envelope read, in Rachel's unmistakable handwriting. I stood there holding it, my tired brain struggling to process what I was seeing. Rachel didn't have a brother named Michael. Her father was Robert. I didn't know any Michael that would receive personal mail at our address. The envelope wasn't sealed properly. The adhesive had only caught on one corner, as if Rachel had been in a hurry. I told myself I was checking for a different name, maybe a forwarding issue, as I carefully opened it. The card inside was elegant, expensive, the kind Rachel liked to buy for special occasions. The front showed two silhouettes walking hand in hand along a beach at sunset. Inside, her handwriting continued. "My darling Michael, I can hardly believe it's been a full year since that magical night at the Riverside Hotel when we became one. Every second Thursday has been a gift. Every moment at our special place at Moonlight Beach, a treasure I carry with me through the ordinary days. You make me feel alive in ways I never knew possible. Here's to many more anniversaries in our secret paradise. All my love, always and forever, R." I read it 3 times before the words truly registered. The Riverside Hotel. Rachel and I had honeymooned at Mountain View Resort 5 years ago. We'd never been to any Riverside hotel together. Moonlight Beach. I'd never heard her mention it, never been there with her. Second Thursday. Every second Thursday. Dance club met every second Thursday. My hands were shaking as I set the card on the counter. 14 months ago, Rachel had announced she was joining a dance club for women her age, something fun and active to break up her routine. She'd seemed so excited about it, and I'd been supportive. Marriage needed individual interests, right? Space to grow. I looked around our kitchen as if seeing it for the first time. The refrigerator covered with our photos from last summer's vacation, our 5th wedding anniversary dinner just 3 months ago, my coaching awards Rachel had insisted on displaying. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt real anymore. Rachel wouldn't be home until after 10. Dance club ran late, she always said. Dinner afterward with the girls. I walked upstairs to our bedroom, my legs feeling foreign beneath me. Rachel's side of the closet was neat as always, her shoes arranged by color, her dresses hanging in precise order. Behind her old textbooks from graduate school, books she'd kept for sentimental reasons, I found a small jewelry box I'd never seen before. Inside, concert tickets for 2 shows I'd never attended. Restaurant napkins with notes written in unfamiliar handwriting. Until next Thursday, my beautiful R. Pressed flowers that looked like they'd come from beach walks. A small shell with M and R carved into it. All of it dated. All of it from the past 13 months. All of it corresponding to Rachel's dance club nights. I sat on our bed, holding evidence of my wife's double life. The methodical part of my brain, the part that analyzed historical documents and breaking down wrestling techniques, started organizing the information. Fact 1. Rachel had been lying to me for over a year. Fact 2. She was celebrating an anniversary with someone named Michael. Fact 3. They had their place at Moonlight Beach. Fact 4. This wasn't a casual friendship gone too far. This was a full relationship, complete with romantic getaways and anniversary cards. I needed to know who Michael was. Rachel's laptop sat on her vanity, and I'd never felt guilty about using it before. We'd shared passwords for years. Now I felt like a spy in my own house as I opened her browser history. Moonlight Beach Grill appeared multiple times in recent searches. Reviews mentioning perfect spot for anniversary dinners and romantic sunset views. A hiking trail website with detailed maps of coastal walks. Photography workshops for nature enthusiasts. The photography workshops caught my attention. Rachel had suddenly developed an interest in nature photography about 13 months ago. She'd been taking solo walks with her new camera every weekend, coming back energized and glowing in a way I hadn't seen in years. I scrolled through her search history systematically. Local hiking groups, beach conservation websites, park ranger educational programs, park ranger. I clicked on the conservation website and found a staff directory. There he was. Michael Brennan, 41, Senior Park Ranger, Moonlight Beach State Park. The photo showed a lean man with kind eyes and a genuine smile, wearing a ranger uniform and standing beside a trail marker. His bio mentioned leading monthly nature photography workshops for the public. Professional naturalist with 15 years experience. Divorced 3 years ago. The timeline clicked into place like a perfectly executed wrestling move. Rachel's sudden interest in photography, her Thursday evening dance club, her weekend solo nature walks, even her encouraging me to take those out-of-town coaching positions that kept me away during her Michael nights. I opened a new browser tab and searched for Michael's personal social media. His Facebook page was set to public, probably for his ranger work. Recent posts showed sunset photos from Moonlight Beach with captions like, "Another beautiful Thursday evening walk with someone special," and "Grateful for the person who's taught me to see beauty in ordinary moments." The photos were stunning, professional quality, the kind Rachel had been taking lately. One post from exactly 1 month ago showed a sunset silhouette of 2 people holding hands on a beach. The caption read, "Celebrating love in the place where we found each other." I stared at that silhouette until my eyes burned. The woman's height and build looked exactly like Rachel's. My phone rang, making me jump. Rachel's name appeared on the screen. "Hey, honey." Her voice was bright and cheerful. "How was the tournament? Are you home?" "Just got in," I managed. "How's dance club?" "Oh, same routine. Linda's still trying to master the waltz and Karen keeps missing the beat on everything." Her laugh sounded natural, practiced. "We're heading to dinner in a few minutes. I'll probably be late again." "No problem. I'm pretty tired anyway." "Love you, James." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Love you too. After she hung up, I sat in our bedroom holding her phone and thinking about how easily the lies had flowed. Linda and Karen, were they real people from a real dance club or just names she'd memorized for cover stories? I spent the next hour going through every piece of evidence again, documenting dates and cross-referencing them with my coaching schedule. The pattern was undeniable. Every time I'd been out of town for a tournament or training camp, Rachel had been free to see Michael. Every second Thursday when I thought she was learning the foxtrot, she'd been walking on moonlit beaches with another man. The cruelest part was how she'd encouraged my coaching career lately. Last spring, when the athletic director position opened up in the next county, Rachel had been the one pushing me to apply. "You deserve bigger opportunities," she'd said. "Don't let fear hold you back." I'd turned it down because I didn't want to disrupt our life together. Rachel came home at 10:47 p.m., just like every other Thursday. I was reading in bed when she slipped into the bathroom to change. When she emerged in her pajamas, she looked exactly like the woman I'd fallen in love with 9 years ago. Beautiful, graceful, seemingly innocent. "How was dinner?" I asked. "Good. The new Thai place downtown. Karen's obsessed with their pad Thai." She slid into bed beside me and kissed my cheek. "Dance is getting easier. I think I'm finally getting the rhythm." "That's great," I said, breathing in her familiar perfume. The same perfume she'd worn to Moonlight Beach with Michael. She settled against my shoulder like she had thousands of times before. "I missed you this week." The words felt like sandpaper against my skin. Had she missed me? Or had Michael's presence made my absence easier to bear? "Missed you too," I lied. Friday morning, Rachel left for work early as usual. She taught 4th grade at Riverside Elementary, 20 minutes away. I had a prep period first thing, so I didn't need to be at the high school until 9. I used the time to call in a personal day and drive to Moonlight Beach. The state park was beautiful in the morning light, and I understood immediately why someone might fall in love here. Hiking trails wound through coastal forest before opening onto dramatic cliff views and secluded beaches. A perfect place for photography workshops. A perfect place for secret romance. I found the visitor center and asked the young ranger at the desk about nature photography classes. "Oh, you want to talk to Michael Brennan," she said brightly. "He's our best instructor. Really passionate about helping people capture the beauty of this place." "Is he here today?" "He's leading a trail maintenance group this morning, but he'll be back around lunch. You could sign up for his next workshop. He has one next Thursday evening. Popular time slot." Thursday evening. Of course. "That sounds perfect," I said. "What time?" 6 to 8. Meets at the Moonlight Beach trailhead. It's a sunset photography walk, so timing depends on the season. Beautiful spot for couples. I managed to keep my expression neutral. "I'm sure it is." I spent the rest of the morning exploring the park, understanding the geography of my wife's betrayal. The Moonlight Beach trail was clearly marked and well-maintained, leading to a crescent-shaped beach with smooth stones and dramatic rock formations. At the far end, a secluded cove provided privacy for intimate picnics. It was the kind of place people came to propose. The kind of place couples returned to for anniversaries. When Michael returned to the visitor center, I observed him from a distance. He moved with the confidence of someone completely comfortable in his environment, greeting visitors with genuine warmth and answering questions with patient expertise. Nothing about him seemed predatory or deceptive. He looked like exactly what he was, a decent man doing work he loved. Which made everything worse somehow. That evening, I started my real investigation. I created a timeline using the evidence from Rachel's hidden box, cross-referencing dates with my coaching schedule and her stated activities. The coordination was too perfect to be coincidental. Rachel had been planning around my absences, creating opportunities for her relationship with Michael. More disturbing was how she'd been manipulating my schedule. 3 times in the past year, she'd suggested I volunteer for additional tournament duties that would keep me away overnight. Twice, she'd encouraged me to attend coaching clinics on weekends when Michael's photography workshops were scheduled. I opened Rachel's laptop again and dug deeper into her email. Most of her messages were routine: school communications, family updates, shopping confirmations. But buried in her deleted folder, I found drafts of emails never sent. The first was dated 8 months ago. I know we talked about being patient, but it's getting harder to pretend everything is normal at home. Jay is a good man, but we're like roommates now. I feel like I'm sleepwalking through my real life, waiting for Thursdays when I can be myself again. I want to tell him the truth, but the timing has to be right. I need to know you'll be there when I take that leap. R. The second was from 4 months ago. Mem. Thank you for understanding why this has to stay between us for now. Jay doesn't deserve to be humiliated publicly, and I need to handle this transition carefully. But I promise you, what we have is real. More real than anything I've felt in years. Just a little more patience and we can stop hiding. R. The third was from 6 weeks ago. I think I'm ready to have the conversation with Jay. I've been living a lie for too long, and it's not fair to any of us. You make me feel alive in ways I'd forgotten were possible. I want to build a real life with you, not just stolen hours at the beach. After the new school year starts and things settle down, I'll tell him. I promise. R. None of the emails had been sent, but they painted a clear picture. Rachel wasn't just having an affair. She was planning to leave me for Michael. She was treating their relationship as her real life and our marriage as an inconvenient obligation she was waiting for the right moment to discard. The cruelest part was her language about timing and fairness. She was concerned about my dignity and reputation, but not enough to stop betraying me. She wanted to control the narrative, to leave me on her terms when it was convenient for her. I printed copies of everything and locked them in my desk at school. Then I called Patricia Knox, a divorce attorney my principal had used during his own difficult separation. James, Patricia's voice was professional but warm when I reached her Monday morning. Frank Torres spoke very highly of you. What can I do for you? I need to discuss divorce proceedings. My wife has been having an affair for over a year, and I have extensive documentation. I'm sorry to hear that. Can you come in this afternoon? We should discuss your situation and your state's laws regarding adultery. Patricia's office was efficient and discreet, exactly what I needed. She listened without judgment as I explained the timeline and showed her copies of the evidence. This is very thorough documentation, she said, reviewing my materials. In our state, adultery can impact property division and spousal support determinations. The court considers the financial impact of marital misconduct. What do you mean? If one spouse's affair involves significant marital resources, expensive gifts, travel, entertainment, that can affect how assets are divided. Also, if the affair contributed to the breakdown of the marriage, it may influence alimony decisions. I thought about the expensive anniversary card, the concert tickets, the restaurant dinners. She's been using our joint accounts for this relationship. We'll need to document that carefully. Bank statements, credit card records, any evidence of money spent on the affair partner? What about timing? Should I confront her immediately? Patricia leaned back in her chair. That depends on your goals. If you want to try reconciliation, immediate conversation might be best. If you're certain the marriage is over, it might be strategic to gather all possible evidence first. Has she indicated any intention to leave? I showed her the draft emails about Rachel's plans to tell me when the timing is right. Interesting. She's planning to control the narrative and timeline. If you confront her before she's ready, you maintain the element of surprise. If you wait, she might delete evidence or prepare her own documentation. I want to confront her, I said, but I want to do it right. What does right mean to you? That was the question that had been bothering me since Thursday night. What did I want? Justice? Revenge? Simply the truth? I want her to face the consequences of her choices, I said finally. Not just with me, but with everyone whose trust she's violated. Patricia nodded. That's your right. But be careful about public humiliation tactics. Focus on protecting your interests legally and let social consequences happen naturally. What if I contacted the other man first? That's risky. It could backfire if he warns her or if he becomes hostile. What would you hope to accomplish? I want to know what she's told him about our marriage. Whether he knows she's still living with me as a normal couple. That could be valuable information. If he believes he's dating a separated woman, that changes the moral calculus significantly. I left Patricia's office with a clear plan. First, contact Michael and discover what Rachel had told him about our situation. Second, document any financial evidence of the affair. Third, plan a confrontation that would expose Rachel's deception to both men simultaneously. The wrestling coach in me appreciated the strategy. In wrestling, timing and leverage were everything. You waited for your opponent to commit to a move, then used their momentum against them. Rachel was about to learn that lesson. Tuesday evening, I called Michael's number from the Park Service website. My heart pounded as the phone rang. Michael Brennan. Mr. Brennan, this is James Caldwell. I believe you know my wife, Rachel. Silence stretched for several seconds. When Michael spoke again, his voice was cautious. I'm sorry, who did you say you were? James Caldwell, Rachel's husband. I found an anniversary card she wrote to you, and I think we need to talk. I think there's been some mistake. But his voice carried the tone of someone whose worst fear was being confirmed. No mistake, Rachel Caldwell, 4th grade teacher at Riverside Elementary. Thursday night photography walks at Moonlight Beach. Your 1-year anniversary was last week. Another long pause. Can you meet me somewhere? This isn't a conversation for the phone. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop in the town between our homes. Neutral territory. Michael was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth and looking like a man waiting for execution. Up close, he was exactly what I'd expected. Outdoorsy, genuine, someone Rachel would find attractive, someone completely different from me. James? He stood as I approached, extending his hand uncertainly. We shook hands like civilized men, then sat across from each other in the most surreal situation of my life. I need to know what Rachel told you about our marriage, I said without preamble. Michael's face went pale. She said you were separated, living in the same house temporarily for financial reasons, but sleeping in separate rooms. She said you were both planning to file for divorce once the school year ended. We've been sleeping in the same bed for 5 years. We had dinner together Sunday night. She kissed me goodbye yesterday morning and told me she loved me. Michael put his head in his hands. Oh God. Oh God, I had no idea. What exactly did she tell you about our relationship? That you'd grown apart over the years. That you were more like roommates than spouses. That you'd both realized the marriage was over but were handling it amicably. His voice was hollow. She said you knew about us but were fine with it because you wanted her to be happy. The lies were breathtaking in their scope. Rachel hadn't just deceived me. She'd created an entirely fictional version of our marriage to justify her relationship with Michael. Did she ever mention that we went on vacation together last summer? That we celebrated our 5th anniversary 3 months ago? That we've been trying to have a baby? Michael's expression grew more horrified with each revelation. She said you hadn't been intimate in over 2 years, that you lived completely separate lives. We made love last Friday night, I said quietly, after she came home from her evening with you. Michael looked like he might be sick. I would never. I'm not the kind of man who breaks up marriages. She said yours was already over. I believe you. She's a very convincing liar. We sat in uncomfortable silence for several minutes. Michael was clearly struggling with the revelation that he'd been an unwitting participant in adultery. What are you going to do? He asked finally. That depends partly on you. What do you mean? Rachel is planning to tell me about your relationship when she's ready. She wants to control the timing and narrative. I'm thinking about taking that control away from her. Michael's eyes widened. You want to confront her. I want to confront both of you. Together. At your anniversary spot. I can't continue this relationship knowing what I know now. I'm not asking you to continue it. I'm asking you to help me show Rachel the consequences of her lies. Michael considered this. What did you have in mind? She's expecting to meet you Thursday evening for another romantic walk. Instead, I'll be there waiting. You can choose to join the conversation or not, but I want her to see that her deception has been exposed. That seems cruel. More cruel than lying to both of us for over a year? Michael had no answer for that. I'll think about it, he said finally. But I need you to know. I never would have pursued her if I'd known the truth about your marriage. I believe you. Rachel is very good at creating the truth she needs. We parted ways with an understanding. Michael would decide whether to participate in confronting Rachel, but either way, he wouldn't warn her about my knowledge of their relationship. Wednesday night, Rachel came home excited about something. She hummed while cooking dinner and seemed more affectionate than usual, curling up against me while we watched television. You seem happy, I observed. Just feeling good about things lately. Spring always energizes me. Spring. The season when she'd started planning to leave me for Michael. Any special plans for tomorrow evening? I asked casually. Dance club, like always. Why? Just making conversation. She kissed my cheek. You're sweet to take interest. I know it's not your thing, but I really love the creative outlet. Creative outlet. That was one way to describe it. Thursday morning, I called in another personal day and spent it preparing. I printed additional copies of all evidence and stored them in multiple locations. I wrote a timeline of Rachel's deception and Michael's unknowing participation. I even wrote a letter to Rachel that I probably wouldn't give her, explaining how her lies had destroyed not just our marriage but my ability to trust my own perceptions. At 5:30, I drove to Moonlight Beach State Park. The parking area was busier than I'd expected for a Thursday evening. Families finishing afternoon hikes, photographers setting up for sunset shots, couples walking hand in hand toward the beach trail. I chose a spot where I could see the trailhead and waited. Rachel's car arrived at 10 minutes to 6. She parked in the same spot she'd probably used for 13 months, grabbed her camera bag, and headed toward the trail with the confidence of someone completely familiar with the route. I gave her a 5-minute head start, then followed. The trail to Moonlight Beach was well maintained and clearly marked, winding through coastal forest before opening onto dramatic cliff views. I could see why Rachel and Michael had fallen in love with this place. Under different circumstances, I might have enjoyed it myself. I found them at the secluded cove at the far end of the beach. Rachel had spread a blanket on the smooth stones, and Michael was setting up a small camp table with what looked like champagne and strawberries. Their anniversary picnic. They were both facing the ocean, watching the early sunset colors develop. Rachel was leaning against Michael's shoulder, and he had his arm around her waist. They looked like any other couple celebrating a special occasion. I walked across the stones toward them, my footsteps crunching loudly enough to announce my presence. Rachel turned first. Her face went through a series of expressions: confusion, recognition, and then complete horror as she realized what was happening. "James?" Her voice was barely a whisper. Michael turned and saw me approaching. His expression was resigned, like someone facing inevitable consequences. "Happy anniversary," I said, stopping a few feet from their romantic setup. "Rachel, I think you and Michael have some things to discuss." Rachel was looking back and forth between us, her mind clearly racing to understand how her two worlds had collided. "James, I can explain." "No need," I interrupted. "Michael and I had a very enlightening conversation yesterday. He told me all about your separation story, how you and I are basically roommates, how we sleep in separate bedrooms, how we've both agreed to divorce after the school year ends." Rachel's face went white. She looked at Michael with an expression of betrayal, as if he'd broken some sacred trust by talking to me. "Michael," she said, her voice shaking, "you weren't supposed to—" "I wasn't supposed to find out I was helping you commit adultery." Michael's voice was cold. "You told me your marriage was over, Rachel. You told me your husband knew about us and was fine with it." "It is over," Rachel said desperately. "In every way that matters, James and I are finished. We just haven't made it official yet." "We made love Friday night," I said simply, "after you came home from your evening here with Michael." Rachel flinched as if I'd slapped her. Michael closed his eyes and turned away. "You've been lying to both of us," I continued, "living a double life, celebrating your real anniversary with Michael while maintaining a marriage with me." "It's not like that," Rachel protested, but her voice lacked conviction. "What's it like then?" I pulled the anniversary card from my pocket. "You wrote about your magical first night at the Riverside Hotel, about your special place here at Moonlight Beach, about feeling alive in ways you never knew possible." Rachel looked at the card in my hand with the same horror someone might reserve for a murder weapon. "Meanwhile," I continued, "you've been encouraging me to take out-of-town coaching jobs so you could have your Thursday nights free. You've been using our joint accounts to pay for romantic dinners and concert tickets. You've been writing in your journal about waiting for the right time to leave me." "You read my journal?" Rachel's voice cracked. "I read everything. Every email draft about how I don't deserve public humiliation, but you need to build a real life with Michael. Every timeline that shows you planning your affair around my tournament schedule." Michael was staring at Rachel with an expression of complete disgust. You told me he was emotionally distant, that you barely talked to each other. You told him we were like roommates, I said to Rachel. But you've been living as my wife for 13 months while building a relationship with him. Sleeping in our bed, celebrating our anniversary, planning our future, all while writing love letters to another man. Rachel finally found her voice. You don't understand the pressure I've been under, trying to maintain appearances while being honest about my feelings. Honest? Michael's voice was sharp. You've been lying to everyone. You told me your marriage was dead, but you've been playing the devoted wife. You told him you were at dance club while you were here with me. I was trying to protect everyone's feelings, Rachel said weakly. By lying to everyone? I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos I'd taken from the adjacent trail 2 weeks ago. This is your idea of protecting feelings? Anniversary picnics while your husband thinks you're learning the waltz? Rachel stared at the photos of herself and Michael in each other's arms, understanding that her careful deception had been documented. How long have you known? She asked quietly. Since last Thursday, when your anniversary card was delivered to our house by mistake. You've known for a week and said nothing. I wanted to understand the scope of your betrayal. I wanted to know who you really are under all the lies. Michael packed up the champagne and strawberries with sharp, angry movements. I can't be part of this anymore, Rachel. I thought I was dating a woman who was ending her marriage honestly. Instead, I was helping you cheat. Michael, please. Rachel reached for his arm, but he pulled away. I won't be with someone who lies this extensively. To me, to her husband, to everyone. He looked at me. I'm sorry, James. I never would have gotten involved if I'd known the truth. I know, I said. She's very convincing when she needs to be. Michael shouldered his backpack and walked away without another word, leaving Rachel and me alone on the beach where she'd been celebrating her secret anniversary. James, Rachel said, tears starting to flow. I know this looks terrible, but I do love you. What I have with Michael is different, but it doesn't erase what we've built together. What we've built? I looked around at the secluded cove where she'd been making romantic memories with another man. You mean the marriage you were planning to end when the timing was convenient for you? I was confused. I didn't know how to handle having feelings for someone else while still caring about you. So you decided to lie to everyone and live a double life for over a year. I was trying to figure things out without hurting anyone unnecessarily. How's that working out for you? Rachel sat down heavily on the blanket that was supposed to have been her anniversary celebration. What happens now? Now you face the consequences of your choices. Are you going to divorce me? That process started yesterday when I met with a lawyer. Rachel's face crumpled. James, please. We can work through this. Marriage counseling, whatever you need. I made mistakes, but we can rebuild. Mistakes? I stared at her. This wasn't a mistake, Rachel. This was a calculated deception that lasted 13 months. You created fictional stories about our marriage to justify your affair. You manipulated my schedule to create opportunities for your relationship. You planned to leave me when it was convenient for you. I was going to tell you. When? After you'd lined up your next life perfectly? After you'd made sure Michael was committed to you? After you'd figured out how to spin the story to make yourself look sympathetic? Rachel had no answer because we both knew that was exactly her plan. Our marriage is over, I said. Not because you fell in love with someone else, that could potentially be worked through. It's over because you chose to lie, deceive, and manipulate rather than have an honest conversation about your feelings. So what now? You're going to destroy my reputation? Make sure everyone knows what happened? I don't need to destroy your reputation, Rachel. You've done that yourself. In a community as small as ours, secrets don't stay hidden long, especially when they involve public places like this beach and community events like photography workshops. As if to prove my point, voices carried across the water from the main beach area. Other hikers were enjoying the evening, some probably from our school district, some likely parents of my wrestling team members. People will find out, I continued. Not because I'm going to gossip, but because you've been living a lie that involves too many people to keep secret. Michael's going to have to explain why he's suddenly not dating anyone. You're going to have to explain why your marriage is ending. The timeline will become obvious. Rachel looked around the beach where she'd thought she was safe from discovery, realizing that her secret paradise had never been as secret as she'd believed. I never meant for this to happen, she said. Yes, you did. You chose this, Rachel. Every Thursday for 13 months, you chose deception over honesty. You chose to build a relationship with Michael while maintaining a marriage with me. You chose to write anniversary cards to your lover while celebrating anniversaries with your husband. I stood up and brushed sand from my jeans. The only thing you didn't choose was getting caught. Where are you going? Home. To pack. I'll be staying with Frank Torres until I can find my own place. James, please don't leave tonight. Let's talk about this more. Let's try to work something out. There's nothing to work out. You made your choice 13 months ago when you decided to live a double life instead of having an honest conversation about our marriage. I walked away from Rachel sitting alone on the beach with her anniversary blanket and abandoned champagne. Behind me, I could hear her crying, but the sound didn't move me the way it once would have. She was mourning the loss of control, not the loss of our marriage. The hike back to the parking area felt like the longest walk of my life, but also like the first honest steps I'd taken in over a year. I'd been living in a marriage that was a lie, believing in a wife who was playing a role, building a future on a foundation that didn't exist. Frank Torres was grading papers when I knocked on his door at 9 o'clock. James? What's wrong? I need a place to stay for a while. My marriage is over. Frank opened his door wider without asking questions. Come in. We'll figure this out. I spent that night on Frank's couch, staring at the ceiling and processing the end of my marriage. Not the emotional end, that would take time, but the factual end. The moment when illusion gave way to reality. The next morning, Friday, I called Patricia Knox to begin formal divorce proceedings. Then, I called the principal to request a meeting about transferring to another district. Word would spread quickly in our small educational community, and I wanted to control my professional situation before gossip reached the school board. James, Principal Martinez looked concerned when I sat down in his office. Is everything all right? I'm going through a divorce, and I'd like to request a transfer to another district. I'm sorry to hear about your personal situation. Are you sure about the transfer? You're one of our best teachers, and the wrestling program has never been stronger. I'm sure. This situation is going to become public knowledge, and I think it's best for everyone if I start fresh somewhere else. Can you give me some context? This seems sudden. I explained the general situation without going into intimate details. Principal Martinez listened with the expression of someone who'd seen too many teacher divorces over the years. I understand your position, he said finally. I can make some calls to districts in the region. With your record, there should be opportunities available. Thank you. James, I hope you know that whatever happened in your personal life doesn't reflect on your professional standing here. You're a good man and an excellent educator. The support meant more than I could express. Rachel called me 17 times that Friday. I didn't answer. She texted constantly, messages ranging from anger to bargaining to desperation. I read them all but didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Saturday morning, I returned to our house to pack my belongings. Rachel was waiting in the kitchen, looking like she hadn't slept. James, thank God. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. I'm here to get my things. I ended it with Michael. Completely. It's over. I paused in the doorway. Good for you. I made a terrible mistake, but I want to save our marriage. I'll do anything. Counseling, full transparency, whatever you need. The mistake wasn't falling for someone else, Rachel. The mistake was choosing to lie about it for 13 months instead of being honest. I was scared. I didn't know how to tell you I was having feelings for someone else. So you decided to have a full affair while maintaining our marriage. You decided to write anniversary cards to your lover while celebrating anniversaries with me. You decided to lie to both of us about your situation. Rachel followed me upstairs as I began packing. I know I handled it badly, but people make mistakes in marriage. That's what commitment means, working through the hard times. Commitment? I stopped folding clothes and looked at her. You were planning to leave me, Rachel. You wrote emails about building a real life with Michael. You were waiting for the convenient moment to discard our marriage. I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted. You knew exactly what you wanted. You wanted both relationships, the security of marriage with me and the excitement of romance with Michael. You wanted to control the timeline and narrative. You wanted to have your cake and eat it, too. I continued packing while Rachel pleaded her case, but her arguments felt hollow. She wasn't apologizing for betraying me. She was apologizing for getting caught. She wasn't mourning our marriage. She was mourning the loss of control over her situation. By Sunday afternoon, I'd moved into a furnished apartment across town. Frank had helped me transport my belongings, and several other coaches had offered support without asking intrusive questions. The wrestling community was tight-knit, and they understood loyalty. Monday morning brought the inevitable gossip. Small towns don't keep secrets long, especially when they involve teachers. Rachel's sudden single status and my rapid departure created speculation that reached the faculty lounge by lunch. I handled the whispered conversations and sympathetic looks with as much dignity as possible. When directly asked, I confirmed that Rachel and I were divorcing, but declined to provide details. These things happen, I told curious colleagues. We're handling it as maturely as possible. Meanwhile, Rachel was facing her own social consequences. The tight-knit educational community that had embraced her as my wife was now reassessing her role. Parents who'd trusted her with their children were asking quiet questions about her judgment. Fellow teachers who'd socialized with us as a couple were choosing sides or avoiding the situation entirely. The cruelest irony was that Rachel's carefully constructed image as the devoted teacher and loving wife made her fall from grace more dramatic. People who'd admired her dedication were struggling to reconcile that image with the reality of her deception. 2 weeks after our confrontation at Moonlight Beach, I received a call from the athletic director at Valley Regional High School. James, I heard you might be interested in a change of scenery. We have an opening for head wrestling coach and assistant athletic director. The position comes with tenure-track teaching and history. I'm interested. Excellent. Can you come in for an interview next week? The interview went well. Valley Regional was a larger district with better facilities and more resources for the wrestling program. The position offered advancement opportunities and a fresh start in a community where I would be known as that teacher whose wife cheated on him. I accepted the offer the same day. 3 weeks later, I was cleaning out my desk at the high school when Principal Martinez stopped by. "How are you holding up, James?" "Better every day." "Good to hear. I wanted you to know. Mrs. Caldwell has requested a transfer as well. She applied to several districts, but word travels fast in our educational circles." I looked up from packing my coaching manuals. "What do you mean?" "Let's just say that professional reputation matters in small communities. Her situation has become widely known, and school boards are careful about hiring teachers whose personal conduct might become a distraction." "Is she having trouble finding a position?" "She'll find something eventually, but not necessarily where she wants to be. The urban districts are less concerned about personal scandals, but the suburban districts she prefers are being more cautious." I felt a moment of sympathy for Rachel, followed immediately by the realization that consequences were natural outcomes of choices. She'd built her reputation over years of dedicated teaching, and she'd damaged it with months of deception. "She brought this on herself," I said finally. "Yes, she did. But I wanted you to know that your reputation remains intact. In fact, several districts have called asking about your availability. Your integrity during this difficult situation has been noted." The contrast was striking. Rachel's deception had damaged her professionally as well as personally, while my honest handling of the situation had enhanced my reputation. 6 months later, I was settled into my new position at Valley Regional. The wrestling team was responding well to my coaching, and I'd been promoted to full athletic director ahead of schedule. My new colleagues respected my work ethic and leadership style without knowing the details of my previous situation. Rachel, meanwhile, had taken a position in an urban district 40 miles away. According to mutual friends, she was struggling with the adjustment to a more challenging environment and a longer commute. Michael had transferred to a state park in another region, ending their relationship permanently. The divorce had been finalized with minimal drama. Patricia Knox's thorough documentation of Rachel's affair had resulted in a favorable settlement, including her paying my attorney fees due to the financial impact of her adultery on our marital assets. Most importantly, I'd regained my ability to trust my own perceptions. For months after discovering Rachel's deception, I'd questioned every memory and interaction from our marriage. But time and distance had restored my confidence in my judgment. I kept Rachel's anniversary card to Michael in my desk drawer, not as a reminder of betrayal, but as a reminder of the importance of authentic connection. Rachel had thrown away a real marriage for the illusion of perfect romance, and she'd lost both in the process. The wrestling season was in full swing, and my new team was performing better than anyone had expected. After practice one Thursday evening, the same day of the week Rachel had once spent with Michael, I received a congratulatory text from the Regional Athletic Association. We'd been selected to host the state championship tournament. Standing in the gym where my wrestlers were practicing with dedication and integrity, I realized that Rachel had unknowingly done me a favor. Her betrayal had freed me from a marriage built on false foundations and opened the door to a better life. Some people collect trophies for their achievements. Others collect lies to maintain their deceptions. I'd learned to recognize the difference, and I definitely preferred the trophies. The gym echoed with the sounds of honest effort and earned success as my wrestlers prepared for competition. It was a good life, built on real foundations this time. And every Thursday evening I was exactly where I belonged,